Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. In 2021, Patek Philippe finished its run of 5711 sports watches, retiring the reference, but before doing so, releasing 3 limited production exotic variants. The Dash 14 with a metallic green dial, the Dash 18 Tiffany signed and Tiffany teal, and this, the scarcest and most exotic of the 3, the 5711 1300A, gem set and stainless steel with an oh-so 2021 green dial. This is destined to be a rare sight in any company. So, measuring 40 millimeters in diameter, is still a thin watch at 8.8 millimeters thick. From lug to lug, the case measures 44.6 millimeters, and if we include the end links of the bracelet on each side, total distance across the wrist is 49.5. Now, throwing it on my wrist, you can see that it is still fit like a 5711 in steel. It's flat, it's flush, it slides underneath the cuff, it's suitable for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference, and it is striking. At first glance, you don't notice the diamonds. From a distance, they blend in with the white metal. The timepiece is, however, opulent in a fashion that few Pateks will ever be. But, again, it wears nicely, it's classically profiled, and first and foremost, it's recognizable as a Nautilus, even if it holds its gems somewhat close to the vest. The bracelet is beautifully made. There's a reason the Nautilus, uniquely among Patek watches, took the longest to finish, even though it's not highly complicated, and it is not made of precious metal. The simple complexity, and I know that's a contradiction in terms, but complexity of finish alone was responsible for the time necessary to assemble this watch as delivered to the customer. Micro bevels down the flanks of the lug hoods and around the flank of the case, down the shoulders of the links, satination on the flanks of the links, satination on the top, polished intermediates. You can see pins and sleeves are used for sizing the removable links, but we do have ceramic pin snaps built into the double folding steel deployant clasp. Those little ceramic pin snaps are designed to ensure that over time, the little clamshell lock cannot aggress against that material, wear it down, and reduce the snappy tolerance. It will always remain very secure. Calatrava cross on the clamshell lock, that is the symbol of Patek Philippe. You can see it again on the crown. Rolling around the case flank, the case is made of 3 primary parts. There's the case back, which screws in. There's the mid case, which you can see has rolled satin across its top and longitudinal satin on its flank. And then there's the bezel, which combines satinated wings and a polished center section. You can also see that there are 2 facets to the bezel. There's one that's angled, and then there's one that's vertical. It clamps down, screws into place, and locks, so that along with the screw-down crown, this watch is able to boast 120-meter water resistance. Now we have an invisible setting for Baguette gems on the dial, or I should say surrounding the dial. And what by invisible setting, I mean, you don't have the little pincers that grip the 4 corners of a typical set gem. You have the outer track, the steel outer track of the bezel, and the inner track, and then the gems just sit slotted in between them, fit flush with exactly the same color and clarity. The dial has always struck me as the #1 reason why the Nautilus is a better resolved Gerald Genta design than the Royal Oak. The Royal Oak has the rounded polygon outer bezel, but the inner bezel, the crystal, and the dial are all round. Here, everything is symmetrical. Inner, outer, crystal, dial, they all have the same shape. The center dial has a metallic green sheen to it. Call it forest green, with the typical horizontal striations present on the Nautilus since the original in 1976. Indices, date frame, and hands are all white gold, so they won't tarnish, oxidize, or change their color over time. Let's take a look. In the dark, it's still a sports watch with plenty of lume, easy to read, double index at 12, making it easy to orient the watch at night. Now, this is the last version of the 5711, which means it has something that no Nautilus had prior to 2019, and that is a hacking seconds feature. So you stop the seconds hand, you could set the watch to a reference time to stop the second at 12. Now, we also have a quick set system for the date, which allows you to rapidly set the date should the watch run down or encounter an irregular length month. Screw that crown back down, and we're going to pop open the clasp Patek makes its own cases, clasps, and bracelets. It is a fully integrated manufacturer these days. And we have caliber 26330 SC seconds and a calendar. The 26330 is the follow-on to the 324, and the major change is going to be the hacking seconds. But if you look carefully, you can see things like the reduction wheel adjacent to the rotor center and the terminal end of the drivetrain leading down to the escapement, and those are structurally different than the 324. So if you can't see the movement number on one of these, you can always use those features to tell it apart from a 324. But technically it is very similar to a 324, as it's a unidirectional automatic winder for high efficiency. Remember, unidirectional more efficient than bidirectional. Ceramic rotor bearings as featured here, more efficient than steel bearings. 4 Hz beat rate or 8 beats per second. Patek's signature and long-running Gyromax style free-sprung balance architecture. Anti-magnetic Spiromax silicon hairspring. It is adjusted in 6 positions, and this movement features 30 joules. So the combination of the Patek seal, the Gyromax free-sprung architecture, the Spiromax silicon hairspring, and the 6-position adjustment leads Patek to rate this movement at no worse than -3 + 2 seconds per day from the factory, which is impressive because not many brands are willing to make a statement guaranteeing accuracy. And as you could see from multiple angles here, the finishing, though it combines mechanical and manual means, leans heavily on the manual end of the spectrum than even most high horology brands at a similar price point. This watch is destined to be one of the rarest and most exotic Nautilus models ever made, not just among 5711s, among all Nautilus sports watches ever created and, of course, already discontinued. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details and enjoy all 45 hours of action-packed power reserve.